Philip Wasielewski, the director of the Foreign Policy Research Institute Center for the Study of Intelligence and Non-Traditional Warfare. Philip, thanks for joining us. As we know, the Trump administration has repeatedly threatened to walk away if there's no progress of this peace deal. What do you make of it?
I believe that if the administration decided to walk away from attempts to start negotiations between the two parties, this would merely return us to the status quo of a few months ago. I believe it's very unlikely that negotiations will end this war anytime soon because Ukraine and Russia have war aims that can only be achieved by force of arms and not by compromise. Russia wants to destroy Ukraine's national identity, and Ukraine is fighting to affirm its national identity as a distinct people separate from Russia and capable of making its own way in the world independent of what the Kremlin wants. There's no bridging this gap with a clever peace plan. There may be a break in the fighting, if possible in the future, due to mutual exhaustion. But until the war aims of one or the other parties changes, conflict between the two will be the norm. The key question is going to be is if the U.S. stops trying to arrange peace negotiations, will its current policies stay in place? Meaning, will the administration continue to arm Ukraine while sanctioning Russia to weaken its ability to wage war?
Now, you've written that the war between Russia and Ukraine is not over territory. Then what exactly is it about?
Well, as I mentioned, it's about national identity. Putin believes that Ukrainians are Russians. The Ukrainians are saying that no, they are distinct people and that they wish to have an independent path. And that path is to the West, towards the European Union, towards NATO maybe in the future, but certainly not towards Moscow, which they've been subservient to for centuries.
Now, would a U.S. suspension of military support be a fatal blow for Ukraine?
I believe it would be extremely harmful, but it may not be fatal. U.S. military aid is very important, but as the war has evolved, so has Ukraine's ability to defend itself. Today, 80% of the casualties on both sides are caused by drones. And Ukraine has created a domestic industry that this year will produce over 1 million of those devices. Where U.S. military support is most important is in air defense. Russia's strategy, like it was in Chechnya and in Syria and in Afghanistan during the days of the old Soviet Union, targets the civilian population to end their resistance to Moscow's demands. Now, Russia, with the aid of Iran and North Korea, produces a large number of drones, ballistic missiles, and cruise missiles, which nightly target Ukraine's cities. The most important thing the United States can do is to provide the air defense resources and intelligence early warning to protect Ukraine's cities, energy infrastructure, and civilians from being attacked by Russia.
Philip, let's talk a little bit about sanctions a little bit. Several media outlets are reporting that the White House is weighing its options on possibly bringing sanctions to the table. Is that enough?
I think the best way the administration can increase pressure on Moscow to end the war is to undermine its economic ability to wage it. It can do so by joining some recent European initiatives to stop the trade of Russian oil via the so-called ghost tankers, and by sanctioning countries that buy Russian oil. Europe has almost ended its reliance on Russian natural gas purchases, and China and India are very reluctant to face secondary sanctions that the U.S. could impose on them if they buy Russian oil. With falling oil prices and the Russian government's budget reliance on energy revenues, this is probably the quickest and most effective way to weaken Russia's ability to wage war, because it would threaten something that Putin holds most dear: political economic stability at home, and therefore his ability to stay in power.
All right. Well, Philip Wasielewski, thank you so much for joining us. So we're going to leave it right there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.